Beneath Nashville's calm nights, the rhythm of peace hides a darker tune of rage, blood, and betrayal. A lover's body sealed in a plastic bin. A church turned into a battlefield under sacred light. Two officers bleeding on a quiet street. Or an elevator transformed into a chamber of terror. Now, justice may cage the guilty for decades, but no sentence restores the stolen breath of the innocent, only remembrance keeps them alive. And this is, Inside, Nashville's Darkest Black Killers, Shocking Murders, and True Crime Documentary. Welcome back to Justice Reversed, where real crimes meet real justice. First offender, Dwayne Herelle Jr. Under the soft glow of Nashville's streetlights, love twisted into tragedy, and a woman's fight for freedom ended in silence. On the 29th of January 2023, 24-year-old Ryean Torres was brutally attacked by her former boyfriend, 28-year-old Dwayne Herelle Jr., a one-time MMA fighter. The assault occurred outside her home in Old Hickory, Tennessee, just a month after she had ended their relationship. Surveillance footage later captured Herelle confronting her in the early morning hours, stabbing her more than 17 times before dragging her body away. Investigators confirmed multiple defensive wounds, showing Ryean fought until her final breath. After killing her, Herelle placed her body in the trunk of his car and drove across Davidson County to his Bellevue apartment. Along the way, he stopped behind a grocery store and threw her belongings into a dumpster. Once home, he wrapped her in a comforter, sealed her body inside a clear plastic storage bin, and hid it in his closet. By mid-morning, Ryean's mother contacted police for a welfare check after reviewing security footage showing Herelle forcibly dragging her daughter from the porch. Officers arrived at his apartment, where he denied seeing her since Friday. After the police left, Ryean's father decided to confront him personally. While driving to a supposed hotel where Herelle claimed Ryean was staying, he confessed to killing her and revealed her body was hidden in his apartment. The father immediately called the police. When officers returned, they found the bin inside the closet, wrapped tightly in bedding. Detectives with the Metro Nashville Police Department recovered crucial evidence, including the comforter, plastic container, and Ryean's blood throughout the bedroom. During interrogation, Herelle admitted to stabbing her during what he described as a heated argument. The Davidson County Medical Examiner later confirmed her death resulted from multiple sharp force injuries. The murder weapon was never recovered. A preliminary hearing on the 15th of February 2023 revealed the grim details of the crime. Detective Derry Baltimore testified that the video evidence captured the moment Ryean was attacked and dragged away. The judge ruled sufficient probable cause to send the case to a grand jury. In July 2023, Herelle was indicted for first-degree murder, evidence tampering, and abuse of a corpse. He remains in custody at the Davidson County Jail without bond, awaiting trial. During court hearings, Ryean's family sat in silence, many weeping as prosecutors described the killing as deliberate and cruel. Prosecutors emphasized the premeditated nature of the assault, calling it an act of control fueled by obsession. Ryean's sister organized a fundraiser to support domestic violence prevention, turning her tragedy into advocacy. Friends and co-workers remembered her as courageous, a woman who had tried to rebuild her life after abuse but was denied the chance. 3 lessons endure. Leaving an abuser is often the most dangerous step. Early intervention saves lives before anger turns fatal, and community awareness remains the strongest defense against hidden violence. Each reminder turns pain into prevention. One woman's story now stands as a warning: freedom from abuse should never cost a life. Second offender, Emanuel Kidega Samson. Under the calm warmth of a late September Sunday, prayers turned to panic as bullets broke the peace of a Nashville church. On the 24th of September 2017, worshipers at the Burnett Chapel Church of Christ in Antioch gathered for their regular morning service. At 11:15 a.m., 25-year-old Emanuel Kidega Samson arrived in the parking lot, wearing a mask and carrying 2 handguns. Within seconds, he opened fire. His first victim, 38-year-old Melanie Crow, was shot as she walked to her car. Struck in the face and back, she collapsed beside her vehicle. Samson then stormed inside the church, firing at the congregation as chaos erupted. 6 parishioners, ranging in age from 60 to 83, were hit by gunfire. Witnesses recall diving beneath pews and playing dead as bullets splintered the wooden seats around them. Samson's motive soon became clear. Inside his blue Nissan Xterra, detectives found a note referencing the 2015 Charleston church massacre, where a white supremacist murdered 9 black church members. Samson, a former attendee of Burnett Chapel, had written that he wanted to kill 10 white Christians in vengeance. Prosecutors later called it a racially motivated act of domestic terrorism. The shooting ended only when a 22-year-old usher, Robert Engel, confronted Samson near the rear of the sanctuary. During the struggle, Samson struck Engel in the head with his pistol, but the weapon discharged and struck Samson in the chest. Engel ran outside to retrieve his own handgun and returned to detain the wounded shooter until police arrived. Officers recovered 2 additional loaded firearms, extra magazines, and tactical gear from Samson's car, confirming he had prepared for a large-scale mass shooting. Detectives from the Nashville Police Department, working with the FBI and the Department of Justice, gathered ballistic evidence, surveillance video, and digital data from Samson's devices. The handwritten note and social media posts revealed careful planning and racial animosity. When questioned, Samson claimed he could not remember the attack and said he heard voices. A psychiatric evaluation diagnosed him with schizoaffective disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder. Despite this, investigators and prosecutors maintained that his preparation proved clear intent. The trial opened in May 2019. Survivors testified about the terror inside the church, describing how Samson moved methodically through the aisles as if on a mission. Prosecutors presented the note, Facebook posts, and recorded jail calls in which Samson mocked his victims and joked about media coverage. His defense argued the shooting was a suicide attempt brought on by mental illness, not hatred. Emanuel Samson was convicted on all 43 counts, including first-degree murder, attempted murder, and civil rights intimidation. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole, plus 291 years. Church members rebuilt the sanctuary, holding the first service months later as a message of endurance and faith. 3 lessons endure: hate can masquerade as justice, mental illness requires intervention before tragedy strikes, and 1 act of courage can save countless lives. Nashville's peace returned, but the echo of that Sunday still lingers in its soul. Third offender, John Drake Jr. Under the fading light of a quiet Saturday, a single police call erupted into gunfire that would haunt Tennessee law enforcement. On the 21st of October 2023, La Vergne police officers Ashley Bolajak and Gregory Kern responded to a Dollar General parking lot after a license plate reader flagged a stolen vehicle. As they approached the suspect, a brief conversation turned violent. The man, later identified as 38-year-old John Drake Jr., the estranged son of Nashville Police Chief John Drake, pulled out a handgun during the scuffle. Shots rang out. Officer Bolajak was struck in the shoulder, while Officer Kern sustained gunshot wounds to his groin and forearm. Both were rushed to Vanderbilt University Medical Center, where they survived their injuries. Drake fled the scene in another stolen vehicle, triggering an immediate manhunt. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation placed him on its most wanted list within hours, issuing a blue alert that described him as armed and extremely dangerous. Helicopters circled the city, roads were blocked, and residents were told to shelter indoors. Drake, already a convicted felon with an extensive record, vanished into the night, leaving behind 2 wounded officers and a state on edge. In the following days, local and federal authorities coordinated an exhaustive search. Investigators soon learned that Drake's criminal history stretched back nearly 2 decades. Since 2005, he had accumulated 59 charges, including robbery, drug offenses, and aggravated rape. He had served 8 years in prison and was on parole at the time of the shooting. His record, investigators said, revealed a pattern of escalating violence and instability. On the 24th of October 2023, 4 days after the shooting, Drake resurfaced in Nashville's Antioch neighborhood. He confronted a couple at gunpoint, demanded their car, and sped away. Police spotted the vehicle minutes later and initiated a pursuit through city streets. The chase ended when Drake crashed into a parked car in the Edgehill area. Fleeing on foot, he hid inside a small shed behind a home on 15th Avenue South. Officers surrounded the property, forming a perimeter as negotiators prepared to make contact. Then a single gunshot echoed from inside the shed. When officers entered, they found Drake dead. His death ended a 4-day manhunt that had captured national headlines and placed immense pressure on local agencies. At the request of District Attorney Glenn Funk, the TBI launched a full investigation into the sequence of events. A completed autopsy confirmed suicide as the cause of death. Nashville Police Chief John Drake issued a public statement expressing heartbreak and gratitude, acknowledging his estranged relationship with his son and thanking officers for their professionalism throughout the ordeal. No trial followed, and the courtroom remained silent. For the two wounded officers, recovery became the only form of justice. 3 lessons endure. Family ties cannot erase accountability, unchecked violence inevitably escalates, and every decision under pressure can shape irreversible tragedy. The manhunt ended, but the echoes of that day still weigh heavy across Tennessee. 4th offender, Joequarius Williams. Under the soft hum of Nashville's skyline, safety slipped away in an instant. One woman's walk home became a fight for survival. On the 5th of November 2025, a 25-year-old woman was attacked inside her Germantown apartment complex after returning from a Sabrina Carpenter concert. The man who followed her was identified as 29-year-old Joequarius Williams, a convicted sex offender on probation for aggravated assault and attempted rape. Surveillance footage showed Williams trailing the woman along 3rd Avenue North, shadowing her as she approached her building. When she entered the elevator, he asked her to hold the door, then lunged. He grabbed her neck from behind, strangling her while threatening to kill her. The victim briefly lost consciousness and woke to find him on top of her. As the elevator doors opened, she fought back, escaping just long enough to flee for help. Williams fled, taking her phone and keys. Police arrived minutes later. Officers found her belongings discarded in a trash can outside the complex. Detectives from the Metro Nashville Police Department's Midtown Hills precinct collected fingerprints from the recovered items, matching them to Williams, whose name was already listed in the Tennessee Sex Offender Registry. Investigators reviewed hours of surveillance footage, tracking every step before and after the assault. Within 6 days, they located and arrested Williams without resistance. The arrest affidavit described the assault as an attempted murder. The victim's injuries included deep bruising around her neck and marks consistent with strangulation. Detectives said Williams threatened sexual violence during the attack. Prosecutors later revealed that Williams had been on probation for a 2019 case involving the attempted rape and strangulation of another woman. Court documents showed he had spent 6 years in jail awaiting trial for those earlier crimes before pleading guilty to reduced charges. He was released under supervision, yet records revealed repeated violations, including indecent exposure, robbery, and assault. Despite those incidents, he remained on probation at the time of the Germantown attack. After his arrest, Williams was booked into the Davidson County Jail on charges of attempted murder, robbery, and probation violation. His bond was set at $10.1 million, one of the highest in Davidson County that year. A mental health evaluation was ordered following erratic behavior during intake, delaying his first court hearing until early 2026. As of now, he remains in custody, while prosecutors prepare enhanced sentencing motions based on his violent criminal record. Inside the courtroom, prosecutors described the crime as entirely preventable. Community leaders and residents voiced frustration over systemic probation failures, demanding reform and tighter tracking of repeat violent offenders. The victim's courage in escaping and cooperating with investigators became a symbol of resilience across Nashville. 3 lessons endure. Unchecked leniency toward violent offenders endangers communities, situational awareness can mean survival, and real reform begins with consistent accountability. Her strength turned a moment of terror into a call for change. Nashville remembers, justice must move faster than fear. 5th offender, Tasha Marie Bradley. Under the harsh fluorescent glow of a Nashville night, a moment of rage turned steel into a weapon and calm into chaos. On the 8th of May 2023, 33-year-old Tasha Marie Bradley of Nashville turned a heated argument with her boyfriend into a violent outburst that ended with her pickup truck buried inside a Family Dollar store on Clifton Avenue. What began as a domestic dispute escalated within minutes into an act that authorities later described as an intentional and targeted attack. The confrontation started in the store's parking lot. Witnesses reported hearing yelling between Bradley and her boyfriend before the man fled inside, trying to get away. Moments later, Bradley accelerated her pickup truck toward the building. The vehicle smashed through the glass entrance, twisting metal frames and sending debris flying across the aisles. Police later stated that Bradley drove around inside the store, attempting to locate the victim. Customers scattered for safety as the truck tore through shelves, merchandise, and displays. The damage was catastrophic. Store surveillance footage and photographs showed the truck resting deep within the building, surrounded by shattered glass and overturned shelves. The crash caused more than $250,000 in property damage. Although the destruction was extensive, no injuries were reported. Bradley fled immediately after the crash. Within minutes, patrol units from the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department tracked her down and placed her under arrest without further incident. Detectives sealed off the store to document the scene, photographing tire tracks, debris patterns, and interior damage. Surveillance footage confirmed the sequence of events, clearly showing Bradley's vehicle accelerating into the storefront from the parking lot. Investigators determined the act was deliberate, motivated by anger after the argument. Bradley faced multiple felony charges, including attempted murder, 3 counts of aggravated assault, felony vandalism, and robbery. She also faced a misdemeanor charge for driving with a suspended license. Her bond was set at $377,000. Court records revealed a previous arrest just months earlier for strangulation and domestic assault with bodily injury, a case that had already been bound over for grand jury review. In interviews, detectives reported that Bradley appeared emotionally volatile but not impaired by drugs or alcohol. They concluded her decision to drive into the store was fueled by rage rather than intoxication. The Davidson County District Attorney's Office reviewed the evidence and began preparing for prosecution. The Family Dollar location was closed for months as crews rebuilt the shattered storefront. The courtroom scene was restrained but tense. Prosecutors called Bradley's actions a reckless display of domestic violence that endangered everyone nearby. She showed little emotion as charges were read. Community members expressed disbelief that a personal dispute could create such large-scale destruction. Police urged residents to recognize warning signs of escalation before arguments turned physical. 3 lasting lessons remain: anger without control breeds tragedy, domestic violence leaves more than one victim, and prevention begins before the crash. A moment of fury turned glass to dust and freedom to consequence. 6th offender, L.R., Taiyana Tipton, Tyshawn Bowles, and LaMyra Pipkins. Under the fading light of a Tennessee summer, a young woman's final hours unraveled through betrayal, violence, and calculated cruelty. In August 2022, 22-year-old Maya Fuller of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, vanished after attending a party in Antioch. Days later, her decomposed remains were discovered in a wooded area off Trammell Lane in Wilson County. Investigators determined she had been shot 7 times. What began as a simple disagreement between 2 women escalated into a deadly plot that would expose deception, coordination, and cold-blooded execution. According to police, the chain of events began when Taiyana Tipton, then 21, had a personal dispute with Fuller. On July 30, Tipton's brother, 20-year-old Tyshawn Bowles, contacted Fuller through social media, inviting her to a party. Fuller accepted, unaware the invitation was a trap. Witnesses later confirmed that Tipton and another woman, LaMyra Pipkins, confronted and physically assaulted Fuller during the event. When the fight ended, Tipton forced Fuller into the trunk of her car and drove away. Bowles admitted in later statements that he saw Tipton's aggression escalate but denied seeing the kidnapping. He recalled hearing his sister say, "Pop the trunk," though he claimed not to know what followed. Tipton then drove Fuller toward Wilson County, where investigators later determined she shot Fuller multiple times and left her body in a secluded construction area. Fuller's family reported her missing the next day. On August 6, human remains were found in the area where Tipton's vehicle had last been seen. Forensic testing confirmed the remains were Maya's. Detectives from the Wilson County Sheriff's Office, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, and Metro Nashville Police launched a multi-agency investigation. Ballistic evidence, phone records, and witness statements linked Tipton directly to the murder. Investigators discovered that Tipton's anger stemmed from a brief argument days earlier. Text messages revealed she planned to handle Fuller. Bowles' digital trail confirmed coordination through messages, arranging Fuller's attendance at the party. Surveillance footage, vehicle data, and cell tower pings reconstructed the journey from Antioch to Wilson County. The evidence left little doubt: Tipton lured, abducted, and killed Fuller, aided by Pipkins and Bowles. On the 12th of July 2023, authorities arrested all three suspects in Nashville. District Attorney Jason Lawson praised the extensive cooperation among law enforcement agencies. In March 2025, Tipton pleaded guilty to premeditated first-degree murder, felony murder, kidnapping, and abuse of a corpse. She was sentenced to life in prison. In October 2025, Bowles pleaded guilty to facilitation of especially aggravated kidnapping and received a 12-year sentence. Pipkins, who participated in the assault, awaits trial scheduled for late 2025. The courtroom fell silent as Tipton's sentence was read. Fuller's family attended every hearing, holding each other for strength. They supported the plea that secured a life sentence but condemned Bowles' shorter term. Prosecutors said the resolution reflected each defendant's level of involvement. Three lessons remain: vengeance, disguised as pride, destroys lives, digital footprints never lie, and truth eventually surfaces despite silence. Justice arrived, but peace for Maya's family still waits in the wind. Seventh offender, Ryean L. Floyd. Under the soft light of Nashville's parks, an ordinary afternoon became the scene of an unimaginable crime that shook the city's sense of safety. On the 25th of May 2023, 24-year-old Ryean L. Floyd was arrested after a brutal assault at Shelby Bottoms Nature Center, a popular family park in Nashville, Tennessee. The case quickly drew attention because of its shocking setting and the details investigators later uncovered: an attack on a young mother while she tried to feed her infant in the backseat of her car. According to police reports, the victim, who knew Floyd from over a year earlier, agreed to meet him at Shelby Park that afternoon. The two talked near the parking lot before she decided to leave. She secured her baby in the back seat and sat beside the child to feed it before driving home. In those moments of routine care, the situation turned violent. Floyd allegedly climbed into the back seat, overpowered the woman, lifted her skirt, and forcibly raped her as her baby cried beside her. The assault lasted several minutes and left the victim bruised, terrified, and bleeding. The case took an extraordinary turn when investigators revealed that the attack had been recorded in full. The 5-minute audio captured the victim's pleas for Floyd to stop, the sound of her child crying, and Floyd's own voice during the assault. This recording, recovered from the victim's phone, became the central piece of evidence in the case. After the assault, the woman drove to safety and contacted police. She was taken to Ascension St. Thomas Hospital, where doctors treated her for physical injuries consistent with sexual assault and strangulation. Detectives from the Metro Nashville Police Department immediately began investigating, collecting forensic samples from the vehicle and securing the digital recording. By the next day, Floyd was arrested at a nearby residence. Police charged him with aggravated rape causing bodily injury and aggravated kidnapping. The evidence, prosecutors later said, left little room for doubt. The recording aligned with the victim's statement, and physical evidence corroborated her account. Investigators also confirmed that the two had communicated before meeting that day, suggesting premeditation. At the time of his arrest, Floyd was booked into the Metro Nashville jail with a bond set at $65,000, $50,000 for aggravated rape and $15,000 for kidnapping. Both charges carry potential sentences totaling up to 90 years in prison if convicted. The assault caused unease across East Nashville. Parents and joggers who frequented Shelby Park described the incident as a travesty that shattered the feeling of public safety. Many visitors began traveling in pairs, avoiding late hours, and keeping constant communication with family while at the park. 3 lessons remain: trust should never override caution, public spaces are not always safe, and vigilance is a community's strongest defense. What began as a quiet day in the park ended as a chilling reminder: evil can appear where safety feels most certain. 8th offender, Owolo Jr. Under the yellow glow of an Antioch streetlight, a small argument between roommates turned into a fatal shooting that stunned the quiet neighborhood. On the evening of the 12th of March 2025, police were called to a home on Birch Mill Point South in Antioch, Tennessee. Inside, 33-year-old Johnny Ishan Wilson lay dead at the top of a staircase, shot multiple times by his roommate, 24-year-old Owolo Jr. What began as a minor disagreement had escalated into a deadly confrontation that ended one man's life and another's freedom. According to the Metro Nashville Police Department, the two men had been living together in the house for several months. That night, a dispute broke out after Owolo accused Wilson of trying to enter his bedroom while he was away. Wilson denied the accusation, and other residents inside the home attempted to calm them down. Witnesses said the argument grew heated before Owolo suddenly pulled out a gun. Several shots echoed through the home. By the time officers arrived, Wilson was unresponsive, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. Detectives secured the home and began collecting forensic evidence, including spent shell casings found near the staircase. A handgun believed to be the murder weapon was later recovered. Witness statements established a clear sequence: an accusation, a confrontation, and a sudden eruption of violence. After the shooting, Owolo fled the house with his girlfriend, sparking an overnight search. By the following morning, Owolo surrendered himself at the Metro Nashville Criminal Warrants Division. He was taken into custody without incident and charged with criminal homicide. Investigators confirmed that the motive centered on anger and mistrust between the roommates, not on drugs, robbery, or self-defense. The arrest affidavit detailed that witnesses saw Owolo brandish the firearm during the argument and fire at close range. Police stated there were no signs that Wilson was armed or had physically attacked Owolo before being shot. As detectives continued their investigation, prosecutors reviewed the evidence for presentation to a Davidson County grand jury. The case was classified as a domestic-related homicide, given that the men shared a residence. Forensic teams processed the crime scene through the night, photographing ballistic trajectories and collecting DNA swabs from the weapon's grip. The preliminary findings supported eyewitness accounts that Owolo had acted out of anger rather than fear. Owolo was booked into the Davidson County Jail and remains held without bond. He faces life imprisonment if convicted of criminal homicide under Tennessee law. His initial court hearing focused on the state's request to deny bail, citing the severity of the charge and risk of flight. No trial date has been announced as of the latest reports. Friends of Wilson described him as kind, easygoing, and a loyal friend who worked 2 jobs. They gathered quietly at the home in Antioch, leaving flowers on the steps where the tragedy began. 3 lessons endure: anger transforms ordinary moments into irreversible acts, firearms magnify impulsive choices, and peaceful resolution is always the harder but necessary path. A single argument, a single decision, a life forever gone. From deadly obsessions to unthinkable betrayals, these stories remind us that behind every shadow lies a choice, one that can destroy lives forever. If this deep dive into Tennessee's most chilling true crimes shook you, there's more to uncover. Subscribe to Justice Reversed and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss the next case that exposes the hidden corners of America's justice system. Stay vigilant, stay aware, because the next story could happen closer than you think.